So welcome back. So in today's session, we'll learn about destructuring in Python. So let's get started. So first of all, let's learn about destructuring. What is destructuring? Destructuring is nothing but extracting the variable or extracting some values from a iterable into a variable. So for example, let's say we have a tuple. Let's say my tuple, and it has two items in it. Let's say 1 and 2. So let's print this tuple. Let's run this code. So we get 1 2. Okay, so in this case, how can we use destructuring here? We can use destructuring by saying, like, let's say a comma b, and let's print a, and let's print b, and let's run this code. So you see we get the value of a is 1, the value of b is 2. That means we have extracted this item and assigned this to a variable called a. We have extracted this item and assigned it to a variable b. So we can do the same in a list. So let's have a list. So the list would be same. It will have two elements. Okay, and let's say d, and let's say cd. Okay, so in the same case, let's print c and d, and let's run this code again. So you see, so we can use destructuring in either list, in either dictionary, or in any iterable. So this is also called unpacking. So this syntax is also called an unpacking syntax. So now what we have to note here is, let's say we have 3 elements here in this list. Let's say we have 3. So let me just remove, or let me just comment others. Comment this, and let me comment this, and let's run this code. So in this case, we'll get an error because there were 3 items in this list, but we only destructure or extracted only 2 elements. So in that case, it says it expected 2, but it's getting 3. So here what we have to do, we have to do e, and in this case it will run now. Okay, so I forgot to print e, so we can do it simply like this, e, let's run again, and we're getting this. So in that case, like, there may be a case where we may encounter, we don't know the length of the list. Let's say there are 4 5 6 7, and the list can go on big size of this list, right? So in that case, let's say we are only interested in the first 2 elements, but we are not interested in the rest of the element. So in that case, what we can say, we can use this star. Star means like getting all the rest of the element and adding into this variable. We didn't do anything fancy here. We just extracted the first item and assign it to the variable c. We extracted the second item, and then we assign this to the variable d, and then we extracted the rest of the element and assign it to the variable e. So if we run this code, it will be more easier to understand. You can see we get 1, which is c, we get 2, which is d, and then we get a list of numbers, which is e. We get the list of rest of the numbers. So we can also do one thing here. Let's say we are interested only in the first and the last element, but not in the element which are in between of them. So in that case, we can say star d, and we can remove the star here. And if I print now, we should get c, which is 1, and we should get e, which is 7, and we should get 2 3 4 5 6 in this variable d. So let's run this code. So you see, we get 1 in the variable c, we get the list 2 3 4 5 6 in the second item in the variable d, and then we get 7 in the variable e. So we can use this same thing in the tuple, or any type of iterables. So what we should note is, like, if we know the length of the list, then we can directly give, like, let's say the length of this tuple is 2, so we can use 2 variables. But if we don't know the length of this tuple, we can use this star, which is called extract everything else into that variable. So if you want to ignore the variable, let's say I want to ignore the list, the item in the middle, so in that case I can use underscore and ignore it. So it's simply like this. So I can just print c and d. So in Python, we use underscore to ignore the variable or the value. So far, what we have learned is, we have learned how to unpack the iterables like tuples and list. We have also learned how to unpack 2 variables. We have learned how to unpack multiple variables, and we also learned we will get an exception if the number of variables here and the items in the list or tuple would not be same. We'll get an exception. We also learn how to ignore the items in between, and we also learn how to get the first element and the last element. So I think this is it from this session. We'll learn more about destructuring in the future section.